see what it could be.
Good morning. Welcome to the Portal Podcast with Bob Colbert. I'm your host, Bob Colbert, and I wanted to extend, hope you had the greatest of holidays, Christmas and New Year's, to the fan base here. We certainly did. We took a little break. The staff here at Inspiration TV and AI Cinematic Studios. So we took a needed break. You noticed I missed Saturday yesterday. We had some extended families still in town. So they had attended the Alabama and Michigan game at the Rose Bowl. So they were here and wanted to see us. So we went back down into Los Angeles and where they were, yeah, spent some time with them, so I missed Saturday. My apologies. We'll try not to miss too many podcasts, but sometimes it can't be helped. All righty. If you remember last period podcast, we had looked at the Temple of Antonio and Faustina, Antonius and Faustina. So this had become a church, Catholic church. So today what we're going to do is we're going to be studying the Temple of Vespasian and Titus. So let's go to the video, and I'll catch you on the other side.
To the divine Faustina by decree of the Senate. The 10 monolithic Corinthian columns of its pronaos are 17 meters tall. The rich bas-reliefs of the frieze under the cornice, of garlanded griffins and candelabri, were often copied from the 16th through the 19th centuries. The temple was converted into a Roman Catholic church, the Chiesa il San Lorenzo in Miranda, perhaps as early as the 17th century. But it is only attested in the 11th century work of Mirabile Urbis Romae. Miranda may derive from the name of a benefactress. The Temple of Vespasian, and Tito's Tempio di Spaziano, is located in Rome at the western end of the Roman Forum, between the Temple of Concordia and the Temple of Saturn. It is dedicated to the deified Vespasian and his son, the deified Titus.
All righty. So, again, we had reviewed the Temple of Antonius and Faustina last, and the video, these kind of cross pollinate each other. So that that kind of rolled over into episode 10. At the latter part, we start the Temple of Vespasian and Titus. So I'll go ahead and do some reading on it. So the Temple of Vespasian and Titus, also known in Italian as Tempio di Vespiano, is located in Rome at the western end of the Roman Forum between the Temple of Concordia and the Temple of Saturn. It is dedicated to the deified Vespasian and his son, the deified Titus. It was begun by Titus in AD 79 after Vespasian's death and Titus' succession. Titus' brother, Domitian, completed and dedicated the temple to Titus and Vespasian in approximately 87 AD. Throughout the Roman history, there was an emphasis on increasing the fame and glory of a family name, often through monuments commemorating the deceased. Therefore, the temple was constructed to honor the Flavian dynasty, which comprised the emperors Vespasian, which was 69 to 79 AD, Titus, 79 to 81 AD, and Domitian, 81 to 96 AD. Historians question whether or not Titus and Domitian had a good relationship. However, Domitian ensured the deification of his brother into the imperial cult in order to exalt the prominence of the Flavian name. Titus and Vespasian were each deified through the ceremony of Apathos. In doing so, tradition guarantees that Roman citizens and subjects would honor Vespasian and Titus, or at least honor their genius as Roman deities. The imperial cult worship was as much a sign of allegiance to the Emperor of Rome or as a political diplomatic gesture as it was a formal religion. Okay, the structure of the temple of Vespasian, was in the Corinthian order, Hexa style. Hexa style is with a portico 6 columns wide, and the prostyle with freestanding columns that are widely spaced apart in a row. It was particularly narrow due to the limited space available in the Roman Forum area, measuring 33 meters long, 22 meters wide, in a constricted space between the temple and the Temple of Concord. A small 2-story vaulted room made of brick and concrete and lined with marble was built against the wall of the tabularium and apparently dedicated to Titus. Construction and renovation. Titus began the construction and presumably finished the foundations made of tough concrete and the core of the podium made of white marble. Domitian, however, completed the interior work after Titus's death. The cella inner walls were in travertine, lined with marbles imported at great expense from the eastern Roman provinces. The interior is highly ornate, and the frieze, that's the inscription up on the top, depicts sacred objects that would have been used as symbols or badges of the various priestly collegia in Rome. Around 200 to 205 AD, emperors Septimius Severus and his son Antonius Caracalla conducted renovations on the temple. In the medieval and modern history, the temple suffered significant damage during the medieval times, particularly in circa 1300 under Pope Boniface VIII, and in Pope Nicholas V's remodeling of the Forum, which involved the demolition of both angles of the temple on the Forum side and the reconstruction of its front as a fortress with corner towers. All that survived today is the podium core with some of its peperino lining, parts of the cella, 2 fragments of the travertine wall and part of the pedestal at its back for the cult statues, and 3 Corinthian columns at Perneo's southeast corner, as you can see in the image to the right. All right, well, that's all the reading on that. I'll show a map. Let me hide Temple Park. Okay. So I know it's hard to see this, but in the circle part to the lower right, that's the Coliseum. And then as you're going westward, slightly northwest, where the blue spot there, that's where the Temple of Vespasian and Titus is located. So it's on the far west end of the Roman Forum complex area. So yeah, let me take that off and put that back on. So I don't have my Sketchfab model pulled up to go a little bit further on it. And so what I'll do is I will let you look at the video again, and as a kind of a reminding reinforcement, and I'll catch you on the other side.
To the divine Faustina by decree of the Senate. The 10 monolithic Corinthian columns of its pronaos are 17 meters tall. The rich bas-reliefs of the frieze under the cornice, of garlanded griffins and candelabri, were often copied from the 16th through the 19th centuries. The temple was converted into a Roman Catholic church, the Chiesa il San Lorenzo in Miranda, perhaps as early as the 17th century. But it is only attested in the 11th century work of Mirabile Urbis Romae. Miranda may derive from the name of a benefactress. The Temple of Vespasian, and Tito's Tempio di Spaziano, is located in Rome at the western end of the Roman Forum, between the Temple of Concordia and the Temple of Saturn. It is dedicated to the deified Vespasian and his son, the deified Titus.
All righty. Well, I know it was a short broadcast. If you'll catch us at 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 2 hours from now, nearly, or slightly less, we're going to, let me start by saying normally I wouldn't talk about political matters or sporting matters because you really can't win in those situations. There's kind of like half are for or half are against. But I wanted to talk on the sporting side of it in particular, since we had Alabama here. I'm an alumni of the University of Alabama, and we played in the Rose Bowl against Michigan. Michigan won, and rightly so. They were a very good team, and it was kind of a tit for tat score-wise all throughout the game. And so both teams were very competitive against each other. Of course, I would have liked Alabama to have won, but they didn't for various reasons. But I congratulate Michigan, and I'm looking forward to Monday in the championship game, college football championship game against Washington. So, which was an equally very competitive game. So, yeah. So, if you'll catch us there, what we're going to be talking about in particular is, did the college football playoff selection committee get the right teams in the Final Four? There was a lot of controversy there, and I wanted to, bring my 2 cents worth into it, what it's worth. In particular, I think the committee, my opinion is they did get it right, because even though Florida State had a 13-0 record, and I commend them for that, the problem was they had 2 quarterbacks, their main and their backup, injured and were not playing. And believe there was a couple of others significant players that were not playing as well, and this occurred kind of like in the late part of their season. So the character or the nature of the team significantly changed. All right. So if you were to have watched the game against Georgia, they played Georgia, Florida State played Georgia in, I believe, the Orange Bowl, and it was a blowout, 63-3. And so I would say that Florida State, just didn't have that strength and competitive ability at that time during the season to match Georgia. And yeah, so that was a game. If you'll catch us, we'll talk about that further. Also, I wanted to talk about the kneel. And this is, like, it's not really paying players to play. It's more of their ability to capture some monies or monetary value on their image and likeness. And so, but I wanted to talk about that and kind of see where the college football is going into the future. And there's also some expansion of conferences. I know the Southeastern Conference is expanding. So some other conferences are contracting, going away potentially. And so there's some changes there. So, yeah. So catch us at 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time for the table talk. We'll have a sports. Most likely we'll never do politics because it's a losing game. I mean, you got half Republican, half the country Democrat, and they're all fighting against each other. I mean, it's a shit show. So that's the way it is. So, all right. So I hope that it's Sunday, so I hope you have a great remainder of the weekend, Sunday, and catch us next week on the Portal podcast, Saturday next week. Y'all have a great day. Take care, my friends.
What you do, you into me, but I can't let it go so easily until I see what it could be eternity or just a week. But yeah, our chemistry is off the chain. It's perfect now, but will it change? This ain't a yes, this ain't a no.